Hello, welcome to week 3, Malaguzzi and Reggio. Okay, so Malaguzzi was an interesting man, as you will continue to learn through this PowerPoint, as well as learn a little bit about his life and drive and philosophy along with the Reggio approach. Loris Malaguzzi was born in Italy in the early 20s. He grew up in a time of Italy when it was fascist. So life was very different than it is now, or especially in the United States. He was encouraged by his father to become a teacher. So he enrolled in teaching school in 1939 and completed it during World War II. After World War II, he enrolled into a psychology course in Rome, which also really shaped his whole idea of starting his philosophy of how teaching should be acquired. So in northern Italy, around this time, in Reggio Romagna, but the actual town is Reggio Emilia, not the school. So the school is named after the town. And that's where a lot of confusion comes from. There was a lot of political and economic chaos that followed the fall of fascism. So when the Germans retreated from Italy and when the war ended, there was a lot of political unrest. And with that also became some unexpected money. And that money was from the sale of things that the Nazis had left behind. So jeeps and tanks and other equipment that they had left behind after the war. And the people of the town of Reggio decided that they were going to sell those items and make some money. And the men of the village at this time really wanted to build theaters or studios or galleries of such for their different culture. And as most places in Italy, they really embrace the arts. And the women in the town really wanted to build a preschool. They had this idea that they wanted to start children learning at a very, very, very young age that that not to tolerate injustice or inequality. They wanted to ensure that they could bring up children to think for themselves, that they would stand up against anyone that tried to come in and take over their country again. And so they had very different views. The women in the end actually ended up winning that argument, and so the schools were built. They were built by the families and the people of the community, and the villagers, including the children and parents, collected actual materials from the surrounding area, so including stone and sand and timber, to actually build the school. It wasn't, call a contractor and move them on in. It was, work with your own hands and your own time and really get this school going. One day, along came Loris Malaguzzi riding along on his bike, literally riding through the countryside on his bike. He had no intention of stopping there. He was riding his bike through the Italian countryside, kind of on a sightseeing from one place to another, and saw what the people were doing or had done or were in the process of doing. And he was very, very inspired by this. He loved the process and decided to stay. Okay, so it was at that point that Loris Malaguzzi became the inspiration behind the education experience of the Reggio Emilia schools. He did not build the school. That was really the people and the community. He gave the philosophy behind the school. So he brought to that all of his education and his interest and his experiences, and also embraced a lot of the community's culture and brought in, theater and journalism and that kind of thing. So he supported it that way. Loris Malaguzzi was an innovator and a leader in this approach. Over the years, he guided the parents and teachers in the development of the Reggio philosophy. And it's not named after him because he really felt like this was the community's win, that this was the women's win. And there is a quote of him saying that this is the women's first real victory after the war. And he gave them credit for building that school. So it is the Reggio philosophy. It is not named after him. So the Reggio approach to early education is based on the belief that children are powerful people, full of desire and ability to grow up and construct their own knowledge. Children have not just the need, but the right to interact and communicate with one another and with caring, respectful adults. And while it's the Reggio philosophy there, it is also here in the United States. A lot of times you'll hear our program is Reggio inspired, or we have a Reggio approach, is because we cannot be a Reggio Emilia school in the United States. You can't take what they have in their community, in their town, and put that here in the United States. They have a very special, neat way of doing things. They allow children to leave the school and go spend the day with the baker and bake things and learn how baking is done, or go spend the day down at the flower shop and learn flower arranging or how to cut flowers correctly or that kind of thing. And we don't have that ability here. It's not like we have a child that says, I want to bake today, and we say, okay, let me call the bakery at Safeway and send you on down. We can't do that. There's no way. But we can have a school in the United States that is inspired by what the Reggio philosophy is. So there's a toss up there. So the fundamentals to Reggio philosophy is the image of children as rich in potential, strong in power, and competent. The child is recognized as having his or her own values, who want to be respected and valued for himself, as well as holding respect for others, and who embody the curiosity and open-mindedness of all that is possible. Children are encouraged to develop their own theories about the world and how it works through exploration. So it's very hands-on. It's very much cause and effect, I would say. So, if I do this, will this happen? They very much put things out with a mindfulness of children exploration and helping them figure out the world around them. So although Malaguzzi's ideas about education affected many aspects of the environment and curriculum, the major focus of Reggio programs is observation and documentation. So the teacher really tries to stand back, observe, and document. And their reasons for that is so that they can build an environment and a curriculum around the children's interests. And teachers meet each week. You don't see that a lot here, but teachers meet each week and they discuss what they've observed. They go over their documentations. This is how they build their curriculum. It is based on what children are talking about, what they're interested in, what's going on in the community. If you had road construction going on by your school and children are talking about that a lot, you might start a whole new curriculum unit on construction, and what would that look like? So it's really child-centered. Therefore, the Reggio approach is not an early childhood method or set of curriculum, but rather a deep knowledge in theory and community. Okay, so next Not only are teachers and children part of this process, but family and community is also involved in REL. So they really get the community involved. They have community people come in, they have children go out into the community. It's very reciprocal. There's 3 teachers that they consider in the classroom. The adults, so teachers within the classroom, child and peers, so peer and peer, how do you teach each other, and the environment. The environment they consider as that 3rd teacher. So what do you put in the environment that teaches the child? Active involvement from parents, they consider extremely important. They view children with disabilities and they don't consider them to have special rights, but rather special instead of special needs, they have special rights. And that is something that I've always liked, that wording, that they have special rights. And then each group, this is a unique thing to Reggio. Each group of children has 2 teachers that move with them throughout their career. So if they start at the age of 2, they would have 2 teachers. When they move up to a preschool room, they will have those same 2 teachers. When they move up to a kindergarten type room, those same 2 teachers would move them with them. And then when they leave the Reggio program as a preschool unit and go to their school system, those 2 teachers go back down to the youngest age group and start with the new children coming in. There's programs here in the United States that go from birth through kindergarten. So those 2 teachers start with infants, they move to the 1-year-old, they move to the toddler room, they go to the preschool room, the kindergarten room, and then when the kindergartners go off to school, they go back down to the infant room and start with a new batch of children. So that's very unique to the Reggio program, that they get to build those bonds with those 2 teachers throughout those years. International interest in this approach really hit big in the 1980s. Newsweek around that time did a big article on them and said that were the best approach of schools in the world at that time. And that's about the time the United States caught interest to them. Did I skip one? No, sorry. After Malaguzzi's unexpected death to the community of Reggio resolved to carry on and implement his dreams of fulfilling the Reggio mission to enhance the potential of all children. Also within this, I will put 2 videos attached to this. One video is just kind of a montage of different Reggio programs, but they're more of what, when people think, oh, I want to do a Reggio, it's what they think of, very natural elements. You'll see a lot of wood, you'll see maybe mirrors, that kind of thing. So it's more of what people get in their head. The second video is actually a Reggio school. I like it because it gives you the Italian name, but it also gives you the English name. And I really like it. It's a place in the Midwest, but I have been there. I visited, spent quite a few hours there, got lost in there. It's not what you typically think when you think of Reggio because of some of the natural. It has some brighter colors, as you'll see. But it is a really, really neat program. So, watch that. You'll either really, really like it or you may not like it. I would like to hear your feedback on it, though, if you're really interested. So go ahead and take a look at those and let me know what you think. I might open a little bit journal this week and you can tell me what you think of those videos. Just a quick yes or no, because sometimes people feel very passionately about them. So have a great week. Let me know if you have any questions.